Welcome to the Conscious Communion podcast, where we traverse through the inner dwellings of the human experience through conversation. I'm your host, Danae. Join me as we explore the interconnection of creativity and community. Today, I have a very special guest on today. She is my lifelong bestie and sister. We met about 17 years ago, and I'm so grateful that our paths crossed. My life has been forever changed because of this woman, and I am eternally grateful for the woman that she encourages me to be. She is a mirror like no other. And I would compare her to my husband in the way that we show up for each other because, again, while we don't have that contract through matrimony, we have made this ongoing commitment to each other to continuously show up and show out and just do life together. Kaitlyn, hello.
The beautiful intro. It's wild to think it's been 17 years. When you said that, whoa,
yeah,
it's been so long. That's wild. It's almost as long as Evan and I have known each other. So it's a thing.
We've almost known each other longer than we haven't known each other, which is really special.
Yeah. Let's have our lives.
I know. It's so wild. And Evan is Kaitlyn's incredible husband, and he is actually the reason why these two souls met. So thanks, Evan. Shout out. We love you. Evan and I played soccer at university together, and we clicked, totally connected. And when I met his incredible girlfriend, there was just this instant cosmic connection that was calling me to be friends with this woman. And I had never really experienced that before, not on that level. And it was really just weird for me. Like, I didn't know what those feelings were. I didn't know how to address them. Came on a little strong and just really asserted myself in that friendship because, again, it felt like spirit was, guiding me towards this friendship. And I was so grateful because, Kaitlyn was really shy, but she was also willing to meet my assertiveness and be willing to spend time with me. And it kind of started out by me just asking her, do you want to spend time? Do you want to hang out? Let's get our nails done. And Kaitlyn was like, I don't have money. And I was like, I'll pay for you. Don't worry about it. How did that feel for just some girl to just...
Well, I mean, for being something that was pretty shy and reserved, it definitely took me off guard a little bit. I was wanting to, I guess, protect myself, but I also felt your genuineness. And so I took your offer, and it's funny how clear some memories are, but I just remember, going to get our nails done. And I think the thing that sticks out in my mind the most was when we were driving back and we were listening to music, and you were so excited to hear the music that I was listening to. And I think that kind of just solidified our bond even more, was the common taste in music. Because I think that music really kind of shows a part of your soul. And it's another language that we can connect with. And I was definitely intimidated, not by you, but just by the interest in wanting to be my friend. Because at the time I did feel pretty lonely, being in college and going to a huge school after going to such a small high school. It was very hard for me to make friends and feel like I belonged. And so the extension of your friendship was also so appreciated. So yeah, it was looking back at those memories, those very like significant moments and actions that you do without really thinking about it. You just like kind of follow this intuition, and then how those choices that you make just end up blossoming into amazing relationships or experiences or whatever the choice leads you to. But
yeah, it forever changed both of our lives. I think we didn't know that we needed that. And I think it's so interesting also that we both went to all girls schools. We both came from small private schools. So we were really sheltered in a lot of ways. And so school was wild. Like it was an opportunity for us to really just explore these things that were within us that maybe went unexplored when we were at a small private school. So I think when, we met, it was very much that, but that instant connection, I mean, just for context, she was listening to Hendrix and Zeppelin, and she had like a mix with like Bob Marley. And it was just like all of these. At the time, I didn't have any friends that were listening to Hendrix and Zeppelin, and that was just my jam. That was what I listened to. And so to have a fellow sister that was listening to those, those songs, I just felt that rhythmic connection, and it was really, really sweet. So yeah, just going back to kind of exploring ourselves in college, that was a wild time. Like what was that like, having come from such like a small knit, close knit school to going to such a big school? Kaitlyn and I didn't go to the same university also, but she was visiting with us more than she was at her school. So she was entrenched in the thick of a massive university. Massive.
Yeah, it was definitely what they call culture shock. I definitely experienced that. And it was kind of eye-opening, or just an interesting experience to go from like such a small school and then going to such a big university that was that had so many people. And even though it had so many people, you still could feel like so alone. It was almost harder to make connections because there was so much going on around you, like so much you're trying to digest. And like, not only are you learning how to take care of yourself on your own, do your laundry, make sure you're eating, and like, you're trying to keep up with your schoolwork, make sure you're going to all your classes, but also trying to have a social life and make friends. And so trying to find that balance was really difficult. And then also having a boyfriend that was going to college too, like 30 minutes away. It was definitely challenging, but I didn't find my people during that time until I came to your school and met you, and we ended up forming our own little group. And so then my home became at your school. And so
yeah,
I would just, any free time I had every weekend, almost always would drive up to be with you. And even considered transferring, but ended up not. So,
that's a good choice. I think you made the right choice.
I mean, yeah, it was good that I stayed committed, even though it was challenging. But going to college is not easy, especially for a young soul, a 17-year-old, trying to just learn who you are. And that's really what college ended up being, was learning about myself, who I wanted to spend my time with, what I wanted to spend my time doing. Yeah,
definitely. And I think you got to explore so much of that. And it was really great because Kaitlyn, her home was a safe haven for me, her home. So we ended up living together eventually. And once that happened, then we really got even closer than we had already been. And it was such a special time. It was a wild time, but it was a special time. And I remember, I'll never forget the first time that she, I think we were going home for like Thanksgiving break or something, which is funny that here we are around the same season. And it, we went to her house, and her home was so cozy. And, I mentioned on the last episode that Brian's home was a safe haven for me, and Kaitlyn's home was actually the first safe haven that I had been introduced to, this new environment that felt like a home that I could be safe in. And her mom became a safe haven for me. Her family became a safe haven for me. And we had so much fun every opportunity that we had to spend time in the kitchen, dancing, cooking. We just had a blast together. It was a very communal driven, loving home. And I really, really appreciated that. And I'll never forget it. So thank you.
Of course. Yes.
Shout out
My
Sam.
sister. Yeah. I love you like a daughter too. And you bring so much light and love into their lives. And I know that they're just so grateful that I have a soul sister like you, just supporting me every step of the way. And we love to bring people into our home and give them love, and just enjoy the simple things together, like being safe under a roof and enjoying food and laughs and dancing. So
definitely, all the boogieing, I'll never forget it. Yeah, your dad, and then it's like the music, that vibration. It's an ever-evolving thing that I continuously come back to, just knowing that each soul that I meet along the way that I feel connected to, that there is also that push and pull with music taste. Like we really are listening to the same tunes, and we're boogieing to the same jams. And
if we're not, we're sharing our new lines and then falling in love with that music as well.
Absolutely.
It's funny how sometimes when you meet people and you have completely different music tastes, you're like, I don't know if this is going to go any further.
Totally.
I'm not gonna put walls up, but
where this goes.
Yeah.
Luckily we didn't run into that at all. No. Like her dad is a funk fan too, and that just that's my stuff. So we would just be funk and rock, and that is for sure the epitome of what my soul is drawn to. So it's good where I'm in good company when I'm in the Wesley home and dancing and grooving. My soul is a happy soul when I'm with your family, for sure. So because, this is really about conscious connections and communicating, what did your upbringing look like for you to be a conscious individual and to put intention in love into the people that you interact with? Because that is really who you are. So I do want to remind you that. I know.
Thank you. I need to reminder sometimes. Thanks.
Yeah. I chose to remind.
You're so good for me. Well, I guess I can start by just saying that my parents they fell in love at a young age. I believe my dad was 20 and my mom was 23, and they fell in love, and they got married, and they had me. And having kids, I believe at that age when you're still maturing and finding who you are, there can be a lot of challenges because you're going through your own growth process while also trying to foster, a child's growth process. And, their marriage and hardships, were definitely apparent, and there were definitely some things that we went through as a family. But the thing that I always knew, even when it got hard, I knew that I was loved. And I find that was really important. And I think that just points out how love endures all. And it showed me that family is showing up even when it's hard, and loving even when it's hard, and that you can get through anything when you have love in your heart, and you believe in the other person. And so I think that really taught me about how to be loyal in a relationship, and how and the importance of loving hard, despite somebody's flaws, despite what they might be going through, and loving them through it until they get to the other side. So I think that really has shown up in my core relationships, like with my husband, Evan, and with you, and knowing that when you reach like a rough patch in your relationship, it doesn't mean that that's the end. It's really an opportunity to dig a little deeper, to learn, and to ultimately grow and become stronger for it. And then it's just that much sweeter on the other side, because we know that life is not always, it's not meant to always be like happy and easy. That's not why we're here, right? We're here, our soul's here to learn. So yeah, I think that, that's one of the biggest and most meaningful lessons I learned by being my parents' daughter. So, and the journey that we went together. Yeah.
You carry that torch well, very well. So you have to commend you with that. And, I think it's really special just because you and Evan have been together for so long, and because that love has endured for so many years. I would love for you to just share a little bit about Evan and how y'all met, because it is a really unique love story. And again, in this day and age where, people aren't necessarily in it for the long haul, you two are, and it really has been an inspiration to me throughout our entire friendship. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long story, but I will I'll just start from the beginning. We met in high school, and I remember seeing him. I went to an all-girls school, and I was a cheerleader for his school. His school is our brother's school. And so I remember going to cheer practice, and the first time I saw him, I was like immediately drawn to him. There was like this, I don't know, it was almost like this recognition that like I knew him somehow, but at the time I didn't recognize it that I knew him, but it was just this really attractive energy that I was super drawn to. And I was like, oh, I like you. I have a crush on you. And then we didn't end up like connecting until I think it was about a year later. And we just were at a common friend's house, and he got my AIM, and we just started chatting, and then we ended up going to a movie, and then from there we were inseparable. I think he was my first boyfriend, and I really trusted him. I had really no reason not to, especially since I hadn't been hurt before. But again, I was a shy person, and people did need to earn my trust, which he did. But I did always feel safe with him. And we knew from the beginning that we were in love, and that this was something that was real. And yeah, so we, moving on and being in love, high school sweethearts. When college came around, that was a nerve-wracking time because, people say that through distance and through college, it can be really challenging to stay in a relationship. But luckily, he ended up going to a school that wasn't too far away from me, and we were able to still stay together, although there was, challenges as far as just spending enough time together and all that. He ended up being somebody that brought pretty much all the most important people in my life, including you. He's kind of like a magnet, like an attractor, where he I don't know, somehow he attracts these people into our orb, and then they ended up being like core people in my life. And for that, I'm super grateful. And we've just learned of what love is through each other. And I think just having somebody that has your back and sees your soul, knows your heart without you having to explain it. Even when you make mistakes, even when you are acting out of character, they're reminding you of who you are. And they always know that that's who you are at your core, which I think is so important to have, because we can get lost. Or I know that if I act out of character, I can feel really guilty and I'll question who I am. And then having people like him and like you remind me of who I am at my core. And just having someone that believes in you and wants to do life with you. And I think that's one other thing that's really special to me about Evan is our willingness to grow together and to evolve and to allow each other to evolve into whoever we're meant to be. There's not an expectation for who you're going to be at the end of the day, as long as you are staying to your core values, and that ultimately you're happy and following your dreams. So I think that's why it's worked for so long, why we've been able to be together for as long as we have, is because we have allowed each other to grow and evolve, and have chosen to do it together and support each other in any endeavor. So yeah.
In every capacity. Yeah, definitely. And I think, this, just going back to what you had mentioned about Evan and the orb and, the people that he brings into his circle, the incredible community that you've created. Really, for a long time, I think I've had friends that I've been friends with since childhood, and those friends were just, they were great. But other than that, I had made friends with Brian's friends when I met Brian. But other than that, my only real connection was you, that felt like a true sister and connection, until I moved here to Portland and met some folks. But every time I've met somebody from your community, someone from your circle, they have always been so incredibly welcoming to me, and they made me feel like I was a part of their circle, which is just a testament to the community that you have created with your incredible husband. And I'm eternally grateful for the individuals that I've had the pleasure of meeting and, having really incredible conversations with, because of the lights that you emit, and therefore the lights that you bring back into your own circle. So super, super incredible people. And, yeah, I would love for you to share also just like a little bit about your community, because it is, it's funky, it's fun, and it is like very much engrossed in the festival scene. And I would love for you to share just a little bit about that. I know that's like Evan's deal, but it's also yours. And I
Yeah.
think you get to show your creative. Kaitlyn is a really incredible creative, and she's creative in so many different lenses. So I think that in her festival scene, she gets to show that off in a really fun and special way. So I would love for you to just share a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
again,
I
it's about
mean, I guess it is, yeah, it's been such a big part of our lives, and definitely is how um, I've kind of discovered a part of myself. Um, well, I mean, it's really, again, goes all back to music. Evan and I went to our first festival, our sophomore year of college, was Coachella, and it really opened up our eyes. I didn't really even know like what a music festival was. Like I had no idea. And Evan and I went and did this on a whim because his cousin was going, and so we just bought 2 tickets and we went, and we were definitely changed forever. That changed the course of our lives. So again, going back to the choices that you make, ending up, just steering your path. But yeah, and so after we went to Coachella and just like experienced like the freedom of dance and experiencing all different types of music, meeting all different people, like all the different outfits, and it was just such a creative space that we hadn't experienced before, and it just completely opened up our hearts and our minds. So then we just started going to any festival we could go to, and LIP, and then Evan actually, we started falling in love with like electronic music, and Evan, he's always been such a music head. Like the first time we hung out, he was DJing like on a computer, going through, I think it was a LimeWire or something, and just like playing all these different songs. So like from the moment I met him, he was DJing to some capacity, and he was making me mix CDs, and like he just loved putting music together and sharing it with people. Anything he was inspired by, he just wants to share. And then he one day just decided, he was like, I think that I can DJ. And I was like, you should do it. And so then he did it, and he started a group with one other guy, and we started getting into the scene in downtown San Diego. And then we met a group of people who kind of had more similar music tastes, and then they started their own festival called Desert Hurts, and it just brought this whole community together of like-minded people who love to get dressed up and express themselves, and just boogie all night long. And I've made some of my best friends on the dance floor. We just identify with some people's moves and the way they express themselves through music, which is one of my most favorite things to do, which I know it is yours too. And so, yeah, through that, that's how we have met so much of our community, and met our soul tribe. And it's been a really important time in our lives that I'm forever grateful for. And finding, it's hard to find community unless it's so hard to find community. With like my parents, like, unless you're going to church, or like, where do you find your community? And we were able to find ours through music and through the festival scene. And it's just been so inspiring for me, and to find my interests through that, and know that, and seeing other people, pursue what inspires them has helped show that I can do the same. So yeah, it's been a wild and beautiful experience.
Absolutely. I think even just in our path, I think, you touched on church, and it got interesting for a while. It's not like we were not close ever, but we definitely went into different paths for quite some time. When I was going to church, you were really ingrained in the festival scene, and we still spent time with each other whenever we could, but there was like, things were just not as necessarily aligned as they are now, or they had been in the past, because I did have the opportunity to go to a couple of festivals, and that is my jam. And I think for so long, I talked about it in my conversation with Brian, like for a long time, I kind of like put on this hat that didn't belong to me, and I wore it with confidence, but there was also like a deep seed of not knowing who I was and fulfilling a role that wasn't mine to fill. It wasn't Danae's sole purpose to be going here. And I do believe that some of the people that I met at church, they were a part of my path for a reason. And I'm so grateful that I got to get connected with some of those folks, but it wasn't the same when, I would come and I'd spend time with you, or I did go to one Desert Hearts festival, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my jam. Like waking up at the sunrise, because let's be real, your girl goes to bed early, so I couldn't hang up till the sunrise, but I could wake up before the sunrise. And then I was there and I was boogieing when the sun came up, and it was so much fun, and it brought me so much life. And I'll just never forget some of those special moments with you on a dance floor at a festival, some of the best moments of my life, truly. And I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for the music and the connections and the people that we've been able to come across in those scenes. It's been great. Yeah.
Life would be quite boring without them.
Oh yeah, totally. Even in celebrating your marriage to Evan, that was so much fun. We had the best bachelorette party for Kaitlyn, and it was literally one of the highlights of my life. We had a lake house and just all of the most fun girls, and we were just dancing all weekend and laying by the lake. Really can't get worse than that. Right? So it was just such special people that you've been able to connect with and create a community with. And, it's continuing to grow and it's continuing to expand. And I think through what y'all are doing, you're also connecting folks consciously through music and through community. So it's a really beautiful path to be on.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Yeah.
Finding, it's really all about finding one common thing that can unite people, like one thing that you share a love for. Just, it doesn't matter how different you are, outside of that, but when you find that one common thing, you can create a connection. And I think it's important to always like be seeking that, because, like if you're shy like me, sometimes it feels so much safer to like stay inward. It's hard to like start up a conversation. You don't know what to say, but I find that when you do go outside of yourself and you get over your fear and you try to make a connection with someone, it just opens up like so much possibility. For sure. And it's important to not shut our hearts off out of fear. Whatever it may be. It's often
that's a good word.
Real.
Yeah, definitely. We wouldn't be together if I didn't listen to that little voice that was, it really was a cosmic connection. Like once it happened, it was very clear, like we are on this path together forever. And we had such a cool, like, confirmation of that very soon after we met. And I would love if you could share that story, because it really happened more to you, but we were in the same space. It was just,
so
I mean,
this happened when we were living together in our sophomore year of college. And at the time, my best friend from high school, she came to visit. And at this time I was pretty lost. Evan and I were kind of rocky, and, I was living, up by your school, but not, but then like commuting to my classes. And it was just a strange time. I was, kind of peeling back the layers and not really sure who I was and very insecure. And we went to this shop, and it was like Outer Limits or something. And yeah, and I remember just like looking around, and I wasn't even sure like what I was looking for. I was just kind of wandering. And this man that was working there behind the desk, I remember just seeing him like walk out of the door behind the desk, and all of a sudden he like calls me over and asks me to come over to him. And I was like, oh my God, it's the last thing I want to do is go talk to a stranger. And, and then he asked me to draw anything on a piece of paper. I was so confused what was happening. I was like, what, why are you asking me to draw something on a piece of paper for you? And of course it took me forever to figure out what to draw, like, because I was still figuring out who I was, so I couldn't make a choice. And I finally decided to draw an Irish claddagh, which, for people that don't know that, it's like it's an Irish symbol. It's a heart being held by two hands and a crown on top, and it means love, loyalty, and friendship. And after I drew that, the man, he drew these lines through it and then like wrote numbers on it. And then he just started like giving me a reading, which at the time I had no experience with that. I wasn't really sure what was happening. And all I knew is that he was telling me about myself. And I don't fully remember everything he said. I like kind of blacked out because I was trying to process what was happening. But the two things that stuck out the most was, one, he said that he's like, I know that you want to save the world, but you're thinking too big. You can make a difference in smaller ways, like through your friendships, and you can touch other people's lives. And that really meant a lot to me at the time, because I was really like struggling with, I was in the process of becoming really self-aware and how my human existence affected the earth, and how just the reality of society is, and how we're doing things is not coexisting with Mother Nature. And it was really a hard reality for me to digest, and wanting, like, one girl wanting to save the world, but not knowing how. So having that confirmation that it's, you can help through like small actions, was definitely affirming. And then the other thing that stuck out is he pointed to Danae and said, this girl is going to be really important to you. You're going to go through a lot together, and she's going to be a core person in your life. And I thought that he just got confused because my best friend from high school was there. And Danae and I, although we had lived together and we had that first connection, we weren't like as deeply connected as we are now. Our relationship ended up growing after that point. And this was kind of like the kind of a pivotal moment. And yeah, so he kind of foresaw that Danae was going to be like my soul sister. And so now it's like 16 years later, to see what our friendship has blossomed into and how committed and loyal we are to each other. And we've just been together through thick and thin and support each other in every way. And really, you see me and you see my heart. And that's something that I will always cherish. And I see you. So yeah, it was a really, really wild and like confirming moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember thinking like, oh, he's not talking about me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was standing right there and I was like very taken back by the situation myself. Like, what's happening right here? Like, I saw Kaitlyn talking to this man, and it was very disorienting because she was like, you could see the shock in her face. So she was just really taken back and like, what the hell just happened? Like, especially because both Kaitlyn and I come from an upbringing where we were raised Catholic. And so anything outside of that parameter was new, like, like the Christian context of that kind of space is foreign because it's witchcraft or whatever. And now just knowing who we are, and we have been such spiritual beings since we've had so many conversations about this, but since we were a little girls, both as individuals. And so now that's not foreign to us, but at the time it was something very outside of your comfort level, right? Like, so cool. It's just fun to think.
It was very cool. I'll remember it forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you just touched on wanting to change the world. And I think that's one of the reasons why our souls definitely found each other, because that is a symptom in the best way possible that we both share. And it has been a process and a journey walking alongside you and trying to figure out how we can do that, but on a scale that won't take us out. Because like the man said, like, you can't change or fix anything without anyone's consent, first of all. And second of all, right, it's like, how can we show up first for ourselves to then in turn show up for others? And that's something I know that you and I have really been on a path onto understanding, like, and learning together. And it's been a really beautiful path. And, I know that you get to show up for yourself in really special ways. So I just kind of wanted to ask, like, what those ways are that you show up for you so that you can show up for your community and the people that you love, because you do it well. So I just wanted to ask how you do that for you.
Well, I guess the first way that I learned to show up for myself and take care of myself was by taking care of my body through nutrition, and which is what I ended up going to college for, which was definitely one of the best things I've ever done personally for myself, because before that, I thought that healthy was being skinny. And so then being able to go to school and get the education to learn how to support my body with nutrition and healthy foods. And that is definitely one major way that I show up for myself. I love getting creative and putting together like healthy meals for myself and my loved ones. It's just definitely one way that I show my love. And the other I would say is definitely dancing. I love to boogie. It's a way that I get to be free and kind of express myself and be able to kind of just like shake it all out and really be in the moment, because it is challenging for me to get in the moment. And I think that when I'm cooking and when I'm dancing are two of the times where I can really just like get in the flow and ground down and just, and just be. Yeah. And then I love getting outside, being in nature, moving my body, whether it's through yoga, hikes, meditation is definitely one that is super helpful, and I definitely go in and out of. It's not a perfect practice, but that's why they call it a practice, right? So yeah, and just making sure I make time for myself, even if it's just, for a few minutes or an hour, to just like have some alone time. I'm a very empathetic person, so I tend to take a lot on in my surroundings. And I find that when I am overwhelmed, I kind of start to like shut down, and my nervous system is just gets out of whack. So I try to remind myself to take that time to just like to be still. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've been on this journey for for the past 16 years. And I really do believe that we have uncovered so much over the past 16 years, because it kind of started out with us being curious, and we did, experience psychedelics together, which definitely helps peel back the layers, which I think is really helpful. But now, and just bringing it to the present moment, I think over the past like year or so, we really have explored like what it means to land in the feminine energy that we carry within ourselves, and knowing that we're not wrong to be emotional and to be feeling all the feelings that we feel. I think for so long, like we thought that we were wrong, or that there was something wrong with us because we were so emotional, because that's something that we shared together.
Yeah.
We were so emotional. So we were able to show up for each other and not judge each other when we would come with tears and anxiety and frantic energy that we didn't know how to place. And now we have a little more context, a little more understanding, and we have a little, we have more tools under our belt. So it's been a really exciting journey to watch us evolve together and to really choose that together. And I'm super proud of us, like as sisters.
I don't think I could do it without you, honestly. I'm so happy to have that, just to have that mirror, and to be able to just like talk it out, like it again, just going back to, having people that you can trust your heart with, like, and know that anything that you're talking out, because one way that I am able to process things is through like talking them through. And you've just been such a safe space for me to be able to talk those things out and be able to work through them without feeling judged, or or like it was going to be somehow like used against me, or like it was was going to change my character.
Right. And I think that we both offered that for each other. I think there really has to be a freedom in relationships where people can be themselves, and we can still show up and love them at the end of the day, even if they believe different things. I mean, quite frankly, we really are on the same linear path of like, we believe the same thing. So we are aligned, and it's not linear. It's horizontal all the ways, right? Like
Yeah.
we're always moving in different directions, and it's squiggly most times, not linear, but
Yeah.
yeah, we really have shown up in every season and every skin that we've decided to wear, because we have shed many layers over the past 16 years and many different hats. And
Yeah.
here we are still choosing each other just like we choose our partners every day. And I'm really proud of us for that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being in this space with me and dropping in.
Such
I
an
love.
honor.
And there's so much more that Kaitlyn and I want to share together, because, again, we have done the work together. And I think that that's a really important part of this journey that we all are on in this beautiful life that we each get to live together. And, Kaitlyn and I specifically, we really do call to Mother Earth and ask for her to speak to us so that we can be the daughters that she needs, so that we can bring wellness and health to this planet. So, we definitely have more to share, and I'm so excited to bring her on again and have more in-depth conversations. But this was really just to introduce her and the incredible human that she is and that she's been for me in my path. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I know we opened up with some breaths before off camera, but I would love to just close out and land and drop out with a nice little breath together.
Okay.
Nice little inhale in through the nose. And exhaling how feels good for you. Giving a little shake. So nice. Well, thank you to everyone watching and listening. I appreciate you and I love you from wherever you are, from wherever we are. We are sending our love and our energy to you with the utmost grace and love and compassion. Signing out and signing off. Peace. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, it's Danae again. Just wanted to say thank you for sharing your time and energy with me. If this podcast resonates, please like, subscribe, follow, and share if you're willing. Reviews help too, so if you're feeling the vibe, please leave a review where you can. Sending all the love. Peace.